Hey, people of YouTube. I have an idea that I don't think has been done before. And basically it's this. I decided, with a little help from my phone thing, is not basically to go over, just look at the names on the list of the top 10 Donkey Kong players and give you the information that I think I know about them. I've been around the hobby for a while, so I have a decent amount of information. So, yeah, let's go. So, number 10, Phil Tudos. He's got, let's see, a score of 1,171,400. I think what Phil is more known for than his Donkey Kong scores is, like his Donkey Kong Jr. score. He was the world record holder at one time, and he was the first person to take the new techniques of Donkey Kong Jr., put them into effect, and for a while he had a score that was just lapping the field. Like, I think it was like, I don't know, like 100,000 bigger than the second place score. I mean, he was just boom, and then someone higher on the list would eventually overtake him, that I'm going to talk about. But I think his score is, like, on Donkey Kong Jr. is 1.55 million. He's also got a really, really, really good Crazy Kong score, which is basically sort of almost like the bootleg of Donkey Kong. It was the European Donkey Kong video game. What else? I know that he likes to play on MAME. He's from Canada, and there was a kind of a humorous story. I think one of the Donkey Kong forum members thought he, for some reason, he was like this big time Lego influencer, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, check this out." He says, "You hear it? Kudos to you." No. And then everyone else listened, and was like, "I think it's actually kudos to you." So he kind of messed it up. That happens to all of us, so no big deal. Okay. Number 9 is a guy named Andrew Barrow. He's from New Zealand. I consider him, although he is not the top spot, I consider him the all-around best player on the top 10 list when it comes to video games in general. If I'm not mistaken, he had the 5-man record on Galaga at one point. When I think it was on MAME, but it's still higher than arcade even. So it's the highest score. He's good at a lot of games. I mean, a lot of games. A lot of really important games. Great at Moon Patrol. There's other... Let's see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's other games too. But he is just an all-around great player. When it comes to tournaments, his name's going to be in the top 10. Even if it's like, games you've never even heard of. Somehow he still does really good. It's like, even on his worst, he's still a top 10 video game player on these arcade game tournaments. He also, the biggest thing I think he's known for is Score Wars. They had a huge competition, largest video game competition of maybe the past 30 years. And he won it all. It was a Galaga competition. And he beat a guy named Armando Gonzalez, and he did very, very, very well in that tournament. And they paid out a huge, first place was $10,000, man. And for the arcade industry, first place for that's gigantic. We haven't ever seen anything like that. So, to be honest with you, if there was a person that deserved that type of money, it was him, because he was just so good at so many games. So, more power to him for getting the money bag, as they would say, or getting the bag, I guess. Never mind. Number 8, Dean Saglio, has a 1,206,800 score. He is almost, you would consider, the OG of, modern day Donkey Kong playing. He took Donkey Kong. He even came up with some new tricks to the game. And he just completely shattered what was thought of as possible. When he started playing, 1.2 million was just insane. I know he's 8th place right now, but my goodness, at the time, he set this in 2013. And my goodness, he was 70,000 points higher than the arcade world record. It was on MAME, but the second place score was 1,130,000 by Hank Chen. Hank Chen's not on the top 10 list, but so that score, that 1,206,000 point score, as one of those Mount Rushmore scores. It may not be a top 5 score anymore, but what he did, he said, this is possible, and he did it. And I know he got a lot of pressure to play Donkey Kong on arcade. He never got himself an arcade game. I think they even offered to loan him a Donkey Kong machine. Like people he lives in, I think, New Jersey or something like that. Or maybe it's New York. Anyway, in the area, people were like, hey man, do you want a Donkey Kong machine? And there was a reason why he didn't accept the offer. And, you know, he was very, very good. And he doesn't play Donkey Kong nearly as much as anymore. He just plays it casually if he does play it. He's not into other things. But my goodness, he set the standard. He set the bar for what Donkey Kong is. All right. Number 7, I really should have this down better, is a Japanese player called ACU. His initial are ACU AZU. 210,400. I don't know much about him. I do know that he's in 7th place right now, but I know that there's been times where he's been shoot, I wish I had sorry, I wish I had the edit button for that. Anyway, he's the best Japanese player. He's the best, you know, lives in an Asian country, that was born and raised in Asia. He's the best. And I do know that there's been a couple times where he set a score. It was like 6th or 7th place, and it dropped down to 10th. And what's kind of cool is when he got down to 9th or 10th, he was like, no, I'm not getting out of the top 10. And then he puts up a bigger score. And there's a second time where it went back down to the 10th place, 9th or 10th place. And I was like, nope, I'm not allowing myself to get out of the top 10. And he put up another score, a big 1,210,000 score. So we'll see. Who knows? You know, maybe once he gets down to 9 or 10, maybe he puts up another score, like a 1,240,000 score. We'll see. You know, I've noticed that when he's threatening to get kicked out of the top 10, he puts up some big high score numbers. I do know that Wes Copeland went to Japan and visited some Japanese players. I don't know if he was part of the contingent that actually met Wes Copeland. I wouldn't be surprised if he was. You know, I know that they treated Wes Copeland very graciously. All right. Number 6, if I'm not mistaken, is J.P. Burgers. And again, it's a MAME score. It's 1,210,000. What is it? 800. Okay, so with him, what I think he's more known for, great score. Great Donkey Kong score, but what he is most known for is this insane, out-of-this-world level 1-1 board score. He got 15,000 points, and he grinded that sucker to oblivion. He just kept on boom, 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 and it's an amazing score. I don't know if anyone's within 1,000 of him. It's just literally absurd. If you see what he does on that, you'd be like, wow, this is freaking insane. And he pulled it off, man. He pulled it off. So, hats off. It's one of the most amazing scores in relation to Donkey Kong I could ever think of. Good job, JB. Next. Alright. Oi, mates! It's Matt Tecchio. And he's, as you might guess, or maybe not, because I have a horrible, accents. is he's Australian, and so he's the best Australian New Zealand Donkey Kong player. I guess you could say in Oceania, the best player in that region. He's very, very good. He's the only one that's got 1.2 million when it comes to this game. He also won a Donkey Kong championship in Australia. He also won, like, I think a level 3 championship, which is like a mini Donkey Kong game type of championship. The dude, he has a wife and kid, so he's a family man. He's a really nice guy, you know. So more hats off to him. I know he put in a lot of time and effort to get that score. So, you know, bravo. Number 4, Wes Copeland. Is what I thought was really cool about Wes Copeland's score was he's 1,218,000. When he's got the score, the writer called it the perfect game. Why? Because he somehow managed to take all 4 men that you have in Donkey Kong and take it all the way to the point where you have to sacrifice for points. No one, I think, has done that since, or beaten that, and he got, like, I think 1,100,000 points, like 150,000 or something points. It was it was called the perfect game. It was a really, really good game, 1,218,000. He also is known, I think, as having one of the greatest rivalries, if not the greatest rivalry of all time. And there's another guy higher up on this list. His name is Robbie Lakeman. He and Robbie Lakeman traded blow for blow when it came to scores. There'd be a time where Robbie Lakeman would get a score, then freaking, Wes Copeland would get a score, then Robbie Lakeman would come back. There was one time where they went back and forth with each other, and like he gets the record, one of them gets the record, and the next 5 hours later, that record gets beaten. It was an insane time. It was an exciting time if you were a fan of high scores in Donkey Kong, which I am, so to a certain extent. Anyway, what's next? Justin Elliott. Let's see. What do I know about him? He's more of a fairly newer face. Justin Elliott is the current world record holder in Donkey Kong Jr. I think he's also very, very good at Crazy Kong. Believe it or not, he's even really, really, really freaking good on Donkey Kong 3. And all 4 games, Donkey Kong, Crazy Kong, the big 4 Kongs as we call them, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, and Crazy Kong, I believe he's the best at all 4 of those games. And I don't know if there's anyone even semi-close to him. He is just a force to be reckoned with all 4 of those games. He's really amazing at what he does. It's just, that's as much as I can say. I know it was done on arcade. I think the Junior in the Donkey Kong was. Number 2, sorry. Or, okay, this is where it gets complicated. Okay. Let's see. I wish I had, let's see. 2 people, technically, I hate to say it, the world record right now is disputed. Donkey Kong Forum has 1 player, and Twin Galaxies has another player. And let's just go with the lower score. That'd be John McCurdy. He is recognized by the Donkey Kong Forum as the world record player. John McCurdy is a very private individual. Not much we know about him for the most part. For instance, 99% of the time when he's playing Donkey Kong, he'll be wearing a freaking, sometimes a mask. He'll be wearing, like, I think he wore a Reagan mask one time. He's freaking super, super private. He's never He's never shown up for any of the arcade competitions, and there's been some rumors that he might have been a minor league baseball player in Pennsylvania because he lives in the same place. I don't know, maybe it's that dude, and he was a minor league baseball player. Who knows? Anyway, he used to go by the title Mr. X because he's a man of mystery. So he's been given a lot of flack by certain people, like Robbie Lakeman, for instance, the other guy. He's like, why the freak don't you, why are you hiding? Why aren't you competing in competitions? And so, he's been kind of semi-criticized for that. Maybe rightfully so, maybe rightfully so. I don't know. But I do know he's an amazing Donkey Kong player. And he took that Donkey Kong score to another level. He and Robbie Lakeman did. So, lastly is Robbie Lakeman. He is the world record holder in Twin Galaxies. As far as scores go, he has the highest. I used to know him before he was really, really good. He was good. Like, I think when I met him, he had 1 million score. And now he has 1,200,000, I think, 71,000 score. It's like 800 points higher than John McCurdy. He got caught up in some conspiracy theories with Donkey Kong. He felt that the electricity from the, let's see, forgot what it's called. Oh man! But the electricity had to be a certain point. He even got a voltmeter to measure the electricity going into Donkey Kong. He got to the point where it's like, you know what? I think also the board, if it heats up, makes the game easier. He really believes that. And basically, he started to put a warm air dryer, like a hair dryer, onto the board to warm it up. He's like, look, if John McCurdy and Wes Copeland, I know he thought John McCurdy was doing it. He was like, dude, if John McCurdy is doing something with his board, I'm going to do the same thing. He's like, hey, check this out. And he freaking put a hairdryer on it. And he did that for a while, and eventually he got a high score. Donkey Kong Forum was like, dude, you're saying you're cheating. You're saying you believe this is cheating. You submitted this score, and because you believe it's cheating, we're disqualifying you. I think Twin Galaxies had a little bit of a different type of perspective. They're like, I think the idea is, yes, you put a hairdryer to the thing, but we don't really believe that you are affecting the game. We don't believe that warming up the board or whatever you were doing was actually changing the game. And they're like, you know what? You got the highest score. Here you go. And they gave him the highest score. And so that's why we have a disputed title. I never thought we would have a disputed world record, but we do. And so there you go. That is my info on the top 10. So, hey, it is what it is. And, for the most part, it's been fairly positive. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of the disputed thing going on. So, I have to say goodbye, people of YouTube. This might be my last video for a little while. I'm going back to trucking. And so, I don't know how much stuff I can do. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Bye-bye.